Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Normally, this would be where I would apologize for being like half an hour late. But for once, I'm not going to. Because I spent my lunch break with my niece. And I don't apologize for that. She wanted to hang out with her uncle. And that's fine by me. Let me update the HUD, though, super quick. So the story's higher than this, but... Whoops. There we go. Oh yeah, we're actually also in VOD, too, over here. Wake up, Laura, wake up. We're up to 28 at the moment, and 3 on the negative axis. And without any further ado, let's move the chocolate that I was giving my niece. Very important. We don't want that. Actually, let's move the chocolate over here. That's probably a safer bet. Cool. Back to World Castle. Castle 4, Castle 2, Castle 3. What do you call it when you're racing in a straight line against someone else who's racing in a straight line for like a relatively short period of time? Is that a drag race? It is a drag race. Thank you. Okay. Let's go kill some bosses really quick. Guys, die to a boss very quick. We're not alive, so we gotta be careful now. Oh, there we go. What? Oh,
Oh no!
that's actually my fault. You know, unlike normal, when it's completely not my fault. Hey, Zach Tuft. How's your weekend going? Why is there so much lava? My goodness. Oh yeah, I need to write down a little castle for the course too. I mean, look at this brickwork. Love it. So actually I've already given my thoughts on that, Justin. I refuse to repeat myself. You have to watch all 500,000 things that I do for a living every day. You have to watch all 73 hours of content per day. that I push out in order to get an answer to one of my questions. So here's the summary. Quite literally nothing that they have showcased so far is a good thing, in my opinion. I forget the full list, which is why I'm just giving you a summary. Ooh. But it's a Zelda movie, problem number one. It's a Zelda movie in the wake of the Mario movie, problem number two. It's live action, problem number three, probably the biggest problem. They're doing it with Sony, problem number four. The director, problematic. The producer, problematic. But of all those things, and all of those are negatives in my opinion, like all of those indicate it's probably going to be a bad film. And I've predicted that, and you can quote me if I'm right or wrong. But the biggest thing by far is I happen to be aware of the fact that they've already worked on a Zelda movie. And I don't mean like vague concept art, I mean they've already done production work on a Zelda film. Now, that was torpedoed alongside a Star Fox film. When stuff happened. When some things happened on the corporate level, and they just kind of walked away from that. Whether that was the right call or not, it's a little more tricky. But the point is, they walked away from that. Now, you're probably thinking, what's that have to do with anything? Well, you notice they didn't even announce casting? Or, you know, anything, really? Is this that film? In which case, that's kind of problematic to begin with, because generally speaking, a film that's languished in development hell that long, which is suddenly brought out of mothballs with a new team, that's almost always a bad thing. Or is it a brand new film? In which case, what was so bad about the old one that forced them to completely torpedo all of their old material? So, yeah, 100% of the information we have about the Zelda film is, in my opinion, indicating that it's going to be a bad film. I would say the heights of what they might manage is the same as the Mario film. That's the ceiling, I think. And even that, I wouldn't put money on it. I know what you're thinking, but the Mario film was good. We talked about that this week, too. Put simply, well, I will not begrudge anyone enjoying the Mario film, especially since it was a nice little, you know, fun popcorn flick, right? God dang it, it's right here, too. I don't think it was actually particularly good. It was a popcorn film. It was a very, very, very safe film. That was pretty much exactly what was being expected from, you know, the studio in question, Illumination. Who generally don't put out good films, they put out films that sell. Which is probably why they were picked for this project. Made a lot of money. Now the problem is, let's look at Reality Land. Which of these two scenarios do you think is more likely? Okay, we need to play it safe with a Mario movie. Video game movies have a really bad reputation for a good reason, and we ourselves have a long-standing history of not having, you know, a good chance of translating our medium to other mediums. So, we're going to play it safe. We're going to put out a safe film. Okay, it sold well. Cool. Okay, now we can be experimental and try out a few more things. Now that we've got that, like, that backup, that safety link. Or, alright, we're going to play it safe with this film. Okay, it made money. Let's play it safe again. Because that made money last time. I mean, honestly, this isn't even Nintendo's decision, which is really funny to me. Like, it's not like Nintendo is uninvolved in the process, but they're not the ones making the movie, you know? They're not the ones greenlighting the project. So. Either way, I agree that option B is substantially more likely. Alright, that worked. Do it again. Is a very, very, very common trend in Hollywood. And I know that sounds like such a strange statement. Because you'd think, isn't that just so counterintuitive, right? Like, you'd think it worked, let's do it again would be the correct choice. And yet, historically speaking, in creative works, like video games, movies, shows, books, music, it worked, let's do it again, almost always has the opposite effect. It actually makes things less profitable, not more. Now, that makes sense if you, have a brain and use that brain, which is probably why most executives don't realize that fact. Exactly. Yes, Rain36. Mario 64 has, Mario Sunshine has, Mario Galaxy 2 has gotten 3 negatives for controls. And that's it so far. Why do you ask? Don't worry, we're gonna get if you want more negatives, we'll get lots more negatives in the future. Yeah, but it's not even just that, Gelato. The problem... You know how people in general, especially executives who have no brains, like to think about things from a simplistic perspective rather than a complex perspective? So, it is my opinion that what most executives do is they look at the situation and they think of a movie or a game or a show or a book or whatever as a hamburger. If you make a good burger, then you want to make that good burger again. And you want to, because that's what people are going to want. That burger that you made, that was good. That kind of reliability and dependability is important when you're selling a product. And when that product is, well, something you consume. Something that you, I can't think of a friggin' term. There's actually an economic term for this, but it's something that is intended to be a repeatable resource, right? Certainly there's a value in trying new things when it comes to a burger, and that should be part of the process too, but at the end of the day, you still want that reliable, dependable burger in the background there. But when it comes to more creative, more entertainment levels of fiction, or excuse me, of economics, generally speaking, that's the exact opposite of what you want. Oh, we can't kill the sharks. Sadness. Because, as was pointed out earlier, by Geludo, if you just do the same thing over and over and over again, it actually becomes less entertaining, less interesting. You want a tasty burger every lunch, but imagine if every lunch break you had to watch the same episode of a show, or the same movie, or play the same game. No matter how good that is, at some point or another, that is going to get old. We need variety in our fiction. We need variety entertainment. It's mandatory. It has to happen. Otherwise, it's just going to become Illumination. So, that's what I thought. No, exactly, Grand Spectre. Like, it makes so much sense why idiots tend to think, oh, man, I just want to do the same thing over and over and over again. And why they want this, like, the repeatable, safe return on investment. And it's also so obvious, if you think about it for 5 seconds, why that abso-frickin-lutely does not work. Now, give me one moment, please. That's what I thought. So first, thank you very, very much, Blue Dragon. I do always appreciate. Thank you. As it happens, you can put that towards up to 2 more things, because Mario Land 1's already on the block. It's called the Wario Land block. And I said block too many times because I'm an idiot. But Mario Land 1 and 2 are part of the Wario block. So if you want, if there's 2 other things you'd like to put that towards, let me know, please. Yeah, exactly, Jalito. Okay. Game. Get. Where am I? Ah, right. I see where I am. Just gonna wait here a moment. Now, here's the worst thing about everything I just said. It could be argued from certain perspectives that I'm completely wrong. You could point to how much money certain films and certain... Films is really the worst about this, but films and games make, and say, nope, you're wrong, Lord, they're making money. And I don't really have much of a counter-argument for that. Like, the idea there is actually pretty simple, though. And by simple, I mean extremely complicated. All you have to do is understand that most people would rather watch something than nothing in order to understand why even simple, basic, not good movies tend to sell well. Because what's the alternative? I don't understand the question, Triaxia. Or miraculously, you didn't ask me a question, Triaxia. You just made a statement. Yes, people tend to put suicide later on in the video, specifically in order to make sure that the algorithm doesn't cover it, because generally speaking, the algorithms only catch the first few, what is it, like 90 seconds of a film, of a video, before letting it go live, especially with the shorts feature. So it's also going towards Mega Man Battle Network and the Zelda block. You got it. Thank you again, Blue Dragon. That is a pretty normal thing, Huthor. Hang on, I'll help you out. Vanilla sucked! Okay, cool. Continue. I mean, the answer is... Alright, he's gone. We did it. We got rid of Huthor. The answer is... It really is quite banal. The answer is that what makes a particular movie sell or not sell is a dozen different variables, all of which combine with each other. I can't actually remember, but there's one film in particular that came out right after COVID that sold extremely well. There was no particularly good reason for it to sell extremely well, but it came out right after COVID, right after the theater started opening up again. Why do you think it sold well? And then there's Avatar, which is kind of like its own self-momentum propelling nonsense at this point. Like, that's a momentum film. Everyone's gonna go watch Avatar at least once because they want to see the pretty pictures. They want to see the fancy graphics. Even people who like Avatar and Avatar 2 generally don't see it a second time because there's no reason to. There's no interest there. No offense to anybody who likes Avatar and chat, by the way. It's just, I kinda hate those films. But not really for being bad films, just kind of what they represent in the industry as a whole. So what's causing you issues this time around, Uthor? Although, you want to hear something that is an actual true statement, Uthor, about vanilla. I have no idea, Triaxia. That's true, Geludo. You're absolutely right. Yeah, almost every successful film, if you actually sit down and look at the situation, you can figure out why it's financially successful. Why did Jurassic World sell so well? Well, because it was the first Jurassic Park film in several years. And it had big spectacle and Chris Pratt and... I can't even think of her name. Well, that is the stupidest thing I've heard today, Huthor. Congratulations. You can take the cash prize... Or we have this lovely medal we've put together for you. It's a really nice medal. Bryce Dallas Howard, that's her. Thank you. Once again, no offense to anybody who liked the Jurassic World film. But that film should not have been as financially successful as it was. But if we look at the factors, all of the factors, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So, it's fine, Huthor, it's fine. So we've been going through Cataclysm. We're actually almost done with Cataclysm. We actually started in Pandaria to see... So, I'm sorry. I just realized I'm starting in mid-sentence. A friend of mine is playing WoW for the very first time. And they're playing with me and my friend, and we wanted to go back through WoW, and they wanted to play WoW for the first time, so we're going through WoW. There you go, boom. I know, big, expansive story. We started a few months ago. We started in Pandaria to see if they were going to like it at all, right? I figured Pandaria was a really good test case to see, do you like WoW at all? The answer is, of course, yes. So, cool. So we rewound to Kata. At the moment, we only have like 3 Kata zones left to go. Maybe 2. Yeah, 2. Sorry, 2 Kata zones left before we actually continue on with the endgame stuff. We're going to hit, you know, Mount Hyjal and Oldham and all that fun stuff. And then we'll finally be done with Kata. Then we'll move on to Warlords. But the reason I bring up Kata specifically is because as we've been going, I've been giving them kind of an impromptu lore run of, you know, not only WoW lore in general, but also what has happened during Vanilla. And specifically talking about some of the quest design in Vanilla. Oh, yeah! I'm going to stop that sentence there. But you could probably guess where I was going with this. It is definitely Friday. Definitely. Don't listen to your calendar. It's lying to you. Ah, Valerian. Excellent. Ooh. Yep, we're looking forward to the weekend. That definitely isn't here. So it's Castle 5. I mean, I hear that all the time, Hodor. No, I've actually been thinking about it. And I want to share something that they came up with, Huthor, legitimately. Just to prove that I don't think you're extremely wrong and stupid. You know what I mean. But before I do that, I'm going to pause the music for a second. It'll be very boring for a couple seconds because I completely missed a donation from Valerian earlier. Thank you, Valerian, very, very much. I do always appreciate that support. Thank you. As a reminder to you and everyone, if I don't verbally respond, treat it as though I missed it. Okay, I got a lot going on. It's really hot in here today. I'm kind of tired. Oh, no! And so, you know, I apologize. I've not been on my game. Spent my lunch with my niece. I have written it down for FF14 Dawn Trail Tactics Ogre Reborn, and Victoria 3. But ready for this, Uthor? You're going to love this. So, you probably know, I think, that this year specifically, I've slowly come into the understanding that what I want, that the MMO I want and the MMO some other people want are two wildly different things that cannot coexist with each other. And that's something I'm just kind of slowly becoming more and more aware of and more tolerant of. And I do like the idea of trying to design an MMO. Personally, like I think it'd be an interesting challenge to design an MMO I would have no interest in. To design one that would be more for you, for more the more wanting a social interactions, like I don't want to lose my boomerang. Like emergent gameplay, less game, right? More focused on the social side of things, more focused on just rando stuff, right? Like that, right there. That's what I want out of an MMO. And, my god, seriously, Uthor? The reason this came up was because we were discussing abilities in WoW. She's playing a priest. We were discussing abilities and how they've changed over the years, both in literal approach, but also in how like some abilities just don't exist anymore or don't do what they used to. Did any of you ever do PvPing back in BC specifically? Burning Crusade. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There is a battleground there, which I forget the name of, where it's like, we must fight over the Nether Storm, and it's dumb. It's a dumb excuse plot, as it always is. But the point is, it's kind of a capture the flaggy sort of a thing. And the focus is on getting this one spot, which is in the middle of an area, which is hovering over the abyss. One of the things I used to do, because I was a priest, is I'd just sit there, in the middle. And I'd mind control someone and jump off a cliff. And then I would mind control someone and then I'd jump off a cliff. And then I'd mind control someone and then I'd jump off a cliff. It was an extremely effective strategy. In fact, it was so effective, it was honestly pretty broken and should have been nerfed. Which I believe it was eventually. But that's the kind of thing that arguably shouldn't exist in, and I don't have a better way to phrase this, a good game. That's the kind of thing that has no place in a game that's well-designed, well-constructed, etc. Because the devs would catch that early and be like, whoa, no, that's terrible. Right? So allowing for that kind of a thing, that's a little bit different. And that got into a discussion about how MMOs used to work, because Pax and I used to play Asheron's Call quite a bit. And we would discuss some of the bonkers, crazy stuff we'd get up to back there that was totally not intended by the devs. Which was more of the older MMO concept. I need to come up with a better term at some point to define, like, gameplay MMO and social MMO. I might just use those terms for now, but you get the point. Because Asheron's Call was a social MMO. As a game, it sucked. As all old MMOs did. But as a social MMO, there was just all kinds of rando stuff you could do. Specific example. In that game, every NPC was the same type of object in terms of code. So there was no difference between an NPC, an enemy, or a player. They all followed the same code, which meant that enemies had to have things like levels and stats and abilities. Which meant that if you deliberately went out of your way to, for example, aggro a bunny and then sit there and then let the bunny kill you, that bunny would gain experience from killing you because, again, it's the same code as a player. So the same exact way you would gain experience, they do. Make sense? So you could sit there and feed people to a bunny until you have like this level 50 bunny in the starter zone. So, like, brand new player pops up and is like, all right, let's go. And then there's this bunny, which just murders them in one shot because it's a level 50 bunny. Now, eventually, those mobs would be reset, assuming no one ever interacted with them. But once again, you can see how that's not a good thing, really, if you're looking to try and make a good game. But if you're trying to make a good social MMO, as opposed to a game MMO, you can see why that would actually be beneficial to allow for stuff like that. One time, one of the bigger guilds on the server that I was on actually found the super optional boss and fed players into it to raise its level to ludicrous amounts, to the point where the mob was unkillable. And then they trained it, which is another thing that shouldn't be allowable in a thing, because leash radius wasn't really a thing back in the day, to train it into the nearby trading hub. So all these low-level mules and people just hanging around trading in town, and then the super optional boss walks into town while being buffed to unkillable levels. They had to call in a dev for that one. And once again, you see how that's kind of, like, objectively terrible if you're interested in a game, right? Right? You get it. You get the concept here. And it got me thinking about making a game deliberately designed to be over here. Designed to be more of the social experience. Designed to allow whatever, effectively. To allow those kind of things. And thus the idea being that anybody who plays that kind of knows what they're getting into. It's the same general concept as playing on a PvP server, right? Like, you know what you're getting into when you play on a PvP server, so you know what you're getting into when you're playing this game. Oh, right, I meant to write that stage down. That one. Remind me to check the stage we were just in. So, what would happen is, in that game, you would die, and you'd be like, ugh. And you'd leave a corpse, and your corpse would have your loot on it, Bergman. So when the dev came in to get rid of the super optional and reset them, that's when the mules could come back and get their stuff back. Oops. I'm ready, Ross. I'm ready. It also makes so much sense that WoW Vanilla was more a social MMO than a gameplay one, since that's what it was literally designed to be. I will never stop reminding people of the fact that WoW was originally just EverQuest, but in Warcraft. You remember when WoW had like 40 quests in the game? Total? Of course you don't, but I do, because I was playing back then. I was part of the feedback of, hey, this quest thing is awesome. Let's do it. I forget the actual figure, but it was Elwyn Forest, Durotar, Tearsfall Glades, Mulgore. I think that's actually it. In fact, I'm pretty sure Mulgore actually wasn't part of it back then, now that I'm saying that out loud. I'm pretty sure it was actually just Tearsfall, Durotar, and Elwyn. But, no, this is pre-vanilla, Mr. Red. That's my point. I've talked about this during the WoW lore run, and I will probably talk about this during the review as well, but originally the quests were just there as the tutorial. That was like, here's what an MMO is, here's what you can go and do, go do it. And then you were just supposed to go out and grind. If you ever wondered why every zone in vanilla is structured the way it is, it's because they were designed that way pre-quests. Like, have you ever noticed almost every zone in vanilla has, like, a starter area, which is relatively safe and simple, and then an area where there's, like, a whole bunch of different types of mobs, usually something worth killing there for some kind of loot, or some kind of money, or some kind of resource, you know, for crafting. And then, immediately after that, you have the elite area, which either has one elite boss, or a bunch of elite mobs. I could point to any zone in WoW Vanilla and point to this kind of design. It's because that was the goal. Yeah, the quests were just all... oh my God. The quests were functionally all vector quests. None of them were intended to be done just for their own sake. It wasn't until players, including me, gave feedback and were like, hey, this is awesome. Can we have more of this? That they were like, and this is why quests sucked in vanilla. It's also why the only quests that are really good in vanilla are the ones right at the end, after you get past the hell levels of the 40s. Because all of a sudden, they're like, okay, you know, we threw together the quests for, you know, 20 to 40, 20 to 50 actually, and then they had a little bit of time and effort to spend on those ones. Have you ever wondered why all the big quest chains are in that range? That's worth it. Yeah! Worth it. Because, yeah, some of you probably remember, even in the beta, which is way after the area I'm talking about, Western Plaguelands, Eastern Plaguelands didn't even exist. And that's why there's so many quest chains there, with actual story arcs and actual character progression. And by character progression, I mean, like, story characters, not like, you know, you. You know, I can't think of Darrowshire, or the entire Anderhall chain, which is actually like 3 chains, or everything to do with Tyrion Fordring, back when he was first introduced to us. Like, all that stuff was designed, whoa, after the fact. God damn it. I suppose we should pay some kind of attention here. So, I'm going to ask you a weird question, Huthor. Define holistic for me. Like, I don't deny that the zones have become theme parky. It's just, in my book, that's a good thing as opposed to a bad one. But what does holistic mean? Is that word... Is that holistic? Is this what holistic looks like? Once again, his movement speed is actually determined by yours. So, you decide how fast this scrolls. So if I want him, for example, to move away from those fire pits, I just scooch forward a bit. I knew it, Huthor. Look, I'm just saying I would drive this car in real life, and I'm not ashamed of that fact. Small little touch. Did you notice that even if you're running forward, when you kick the ball, he slows down? That's playtesting right there. That's the value of playtesting in one succinct thing. Because if it just kept going forward when you hit him, when you hit the ball, you could actually yourself cause yourself to outpace the fight. Now you could argue that's a good thing. It's debatable. But it does show that they actually bothered to playtest this fight. I know, lore shock. Core Nintendo actually bothered to... Group 8 actually bothered to frickin' playtest. Holy crap. It's the most shocking thing I've heard of today. Do you notice how there's a spot on the ground where the metal starts to heat up before the flame comes up through it? So you know where it's about to hit, so you're not completely blind. No gotcha moments. I think too much playtesting can be bad. Yes. Although it depends on what you're going for. Interesting, Huthor. Let's get him off this section. I don't like this section. Yeah, you like his health bar there? Ah, I went too far. No, Triaxia. I think most companies hire playtesters and then don't listen to their feedback. And I know this because we have pounds upon pounds upon pounds of evidence that this is true. See that car? That was Mass Effect 1, Sean. And that's Sean. For Croatia! Spider-Man, Streaminations. Spider-Man, PS4, PC. Red Dead, shut up! And Red Dead Redemption. Thank you, Sean. Try that again. Excuse me.
Oh yeah!
And of course, it's the red one for the lava world. Well, we did it. We beat the game. We're done forever.
Hey.
So, I love this. The last stage of basically every Mario game is a big lava place. And I don't mind that. There's nothing wrong with that. Big lava places are cool. That's been true since Mario 3, right? That's what established that particular trend. But that's not the final stage of Mario World. If it'll ever let me move, there we go. No, the final stage of Mario World here is this nonsense. I love this. Unironically, I love this. We've been talking up brickwork the whole time, and I've been looking forward to talking about the brickwork of this world ever since we first did that in World 1. Now, hang on. Let me rewind a second. So, the stage I wanted to write down was 7. Castle 7. He would totally... This is so in character for Bowser. Look at this. So, okay. We still have the brickwork. They still have the grid, the board game aesthetic. We've got, like, the flashing lights. And they're not even random in their pattern. They're actually specifically indicating places you can and should interact with. So it's actually serving a gameplay function in addition to just kind of looking cool. We've got the bright neon signs, the very Vegas kind of garish look. Perfect color contrast between, like, the amber, the yellow, and then, like, kind of the bright pink, which just makes that perfect neon look, for lack of a better word. You know what I'm talking about, right? That particular color combo that you could see the moment you saw it, right? And then you have, like, the rainbowy kind of section, like that little band going underneath it. Did you notice all of this is sitting on something that is designed to look like his airships? Like all of his airships going back to Mario 3? And we've got, like, these... The rails are now replaced by these neon highlighted things. And, of course, we got a great shot of the actual world itself. You know, we've got his castle, except his castle is, like, super, like, done up. There's actually a tower in the middle, too. You'll see that later. I love the Ferris wheel, which has got his trademark clown copter thing going on. with from Mario World, and we've still got a lava. We've still I guess I should do it this way. Like we've still got the lava thing over there. There's a lot of detail on display here. I feel like I'm failing at even properly describing this. Did you notice the fountains? Did you notice the fireworks? Did you notice that there's multiple levels of spotlights in the background? There's 3, in fact, layers of spotlights in the background. This is so glitzy and detailed, and I absolutely adore this. Oh yeah, and by the way, things are also moving in time to the music, because of course they freaking are. So this is World Bowser. This is so awesome. I love it. I love it, unironically. Let's do it.
Let's go!
Like those rain effects? Do you like the fact you can see the Ferris wheel in the frickin' background? I love this crap. So, this is not actually the hard stuff. This is the hardest MSQ stuff. So, you know, decently hard, but they still haven't taken the gloves off yet. Yeah, I love the water droplets. Yeah, the worlds after this is when they take the gloves off. I don't even promise to beat those levels, to be totally honest with you. We'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. PFR. It's always the guideline. I'll accept that.
Oh, no!
You notice how the music has just kicked it up a notch, too, by the way? No, Mr. Red. If I could quote myself for a second, name a bad mainline Zelda game. You can't, because there isn't such a thing. Everyone always jokes, oh my god, Zelda CDI, and you're wrong, and you're memeing. There is no such thing as a bad Zelda game. Anytime a new Zelda game comes out, a real, you know, a mainline Zelda game, we know it's going to be a good game because it's a Zelda game. They have a track record of competence and proven excellence that they have earned. I bought Tears of the Kingdom when it was announced. Like, to be very honest, I think some people are going to be surprised by how Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 score. Okay, Ross, you can dislike Majora's Mask. That's fine. You cannot tell me that Majora's Mask is a bad game. You lack the capacity, sir. Like, if you don't like Zelda games, that's fine. I don't like Dark Souls games. Because they suck. But, oh, wait, no, I should lean into the meme. So we all know that I am objectively correct about everything ever. Damn. Although I'm looking forward to the Zelda block, because I guarantee you people will be like, oh, this game sucks, for every single game we stream. Guarantee it. Like, each individual Zelda game, ah, this one sucks because... ... says. Star beats undeath. That would be very funny, Huthor. But that reminds me of the kind of questions Mr. Red used to ask, which,
Oh no!
I mean, no. Like, Mr. Red used to ask questions like, what if FF6 sucks? And I'm like, but it doesn't. Like, I'm having trouble even comprehending of such a reality. What if you review, you know, the Zelda series and it turns out your favorite one is Zelda 1? And I'm like, but it isn't! There's no reality in which that's going to be a thing. It's like doing a what-if story. Yeah, exactly. What if water was dry? And it's like, well... What if Zelda 1 review's the best? It's not going to! There's no way in hell. Actually, I have not, Lord Haremont. Wraps are good, but I'm not sure about the beer part. Maybe skip the beer. Yeah, I'll accept that. Do I have faith in the Bioshock movie? No! Alright. So, how do we make Final Fantasy VI? You know, it's funny. I think Zelda 1's going to review worse than people think. But I still think that's going to be better than... Basically, I think we're both right, is what I'm trying to say there. Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 are actually going to review very similarly, I think. For pretty much the exact same reason, in fact.
Let's go!
Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 are both much better games the earlier in the game you are. Oh, yeah, no, Zelda 2 is absolutely going to review better than people will. Think it's going to. And yeah, people will not be happy about that, and that's whatever. They can suck a lemon. But Zelda 1 is honestly what I would call a legitimately good game that gets progressively worse the further into it you get. Like, all of the bull crap, all of the garbage that Zelda 1 pulls, that's all later levels. That's all, like, when you're well in, when you're getting, like, stage 4 or 5 and crap like that. You know, I'm fond of pointing out the bush. It's like stage 7, isn't it? Actually, god damn it. That's my fault. I'm stupid. So, let's discuss which Link's Awakening... I did hear that, Uther. We'll see where that's going. Let's discuss which version of Link's Awakening we should review. Anybody who has a horse in this race, feel free to chip in. I'm not gonna forget your question, Lord Haremont. Don't worry. But so here's the problem. Link's Awakening on the Switch is not a remake. By my definitions. By the only definitions that matter for the purposes of a review. So what that means is we can't review both. We cannot review both because they're not sufficiently different, right? Yeah, are you okay, girl? Here, let's rub your chest there. Jeez Louise. Poor thing. So we can't review both. It's not possible, it's not feasible, it's not acceptable to do both, right? So that means we have to decide which version we do. Which version we do will... God damn it, who for? I had someone say that unironically recently, and it actually pissed me off. Me. Accusing me, of all people, of calling myself capital R right. Like, if you know anything about me and how many self-esteem issues I have and how much self-doubt I have in my life, accusing me of that. Anyways. So we have to decide which version we pick, because which version does matter. It is going to change the review. Link's Awakening on the Switch will get a negative for controls and for the blur, right? The octo blur. But the overall movement of the overworld will be smoother, and a lot of the specifics of the gameplay will be smoother, so those are negatives that would not be given, whereas the original Game Boy would probably get those negatives. The Switch version also will not have the color dungeon, I think. Actually, check me on that. I don't remember, now that I'm saying it out loud. Why is it always dessert? Don't answer that question. I'm trying to think what other changes would matter. It would obviously... It doesn't really change the review. In any other demonstrable way, I don't think. One of them will be reviewed this way, on my Switch. And the other one will be reviewed on a Game Boy, aka with an emulator. That is very, very legal. That's brilliant, Mr. Red. You win all of the points. Here, have an ice cream sandwich on me. In fact, have 3. I want an ice cream sandwich now. I don't even have any sweets in the house. Well, I mean, that's not true. I do. But not what I would normally call sweets. Anyways. Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. Even though it won't actually affect the review, I'm kind of leaning towards the Switch version just so I can play it on the Joy-Cons, which will cause me less physical pain. There will be less issues from that. That's a very selfish reason to do it, I'm not gonna lie, but it's true. Any other thoughts? Sorry, I've given all of my thoughts. I'm kind of looking for feedback at this point. I murdered them. The women. And the children, too. I slaughtered them. I hate them. And I slaughter them like animals. Anakin, those are ants. Shut up! It's not actually my hands it's easier on, it's just my entire body posture. Anybody who's ever watched me play a game where I play it on a traditional controller knows that I get into this mindset where I'm just kind of like this. And I just kind of, like, you know... I get into this very specific pose where my arms are practically glued to each other. And I just kind of sit here like this, playing, because it's the only way I can do it without any issues. But with the Switch, I can do whatever the hell I want to. No deaths ending. That's probably not happening. Do we even go for that, I think, is the real question.
Let's go!
Well, so... Justin mentioned that the Switch version might get more interest. But the reverse is also true. Some people might be more interested in the nostalgia factor of the original. And by the original, of course, I mean the Game Boy Color version. Which is not the original. But that's the one we'd be playing. So that's a valid thought, too. And again, I don't really have a horse in this race. Not really, I'm just polling the crowd. Off you go. Oh my god! Door. Thank you, Mario. Yes, when we play Metroid 1 on the GBA, we will also be playing Metroid 1 on the NES, because those are sufficiently different versions to warrant covering both. So. AM2R is something people want me to stream, and it was specifically requested that it be added to the Metroid block, and so it's part of the Metroid block. Correct, Trihexia. I'm not sure if AM2R is actually sufficiently different to qualify, but it's already on the list, and Metroid games are short. It's a much less of an issue to play two versions of a game that's 5 hours long, as opposed to two versions of a game that are, 30, right? I think the Switch is as close as we got. Anyway, so you get experience based on how well you did in combat. That sounds hilariously, slanted, Trihexia. That sounds like that would quickly lend you towards either becoming way too strong, because you just start doing well and then you keep doing well, or way too weak because you fall behind. Hi, Federation Builder. I mean, unironically, I've actually done some studies on the marketing side of that, Huthor, because you know me in economics. It is interesting how much of the handheld crowd, the Game Boy and PSP crowd, kind of drifted into the mobile crowd. Because, and it makes sense, it's the same thing with genres. If you have all RPGs, then, that's a huge quantity of people. But then if you drift off to, action RPG, or turn-based RPG, or tactical RPG, or JRPG, or BRPG, or WRPG, each of those, only certain members of the crowd are going to be in one of those individual smaller bubbles, smaller markets. It's the same thing with mobile. The handheld crowd drifted off a lot into the mobile verse, and most of the other people kind of fell in with the Switch, which is one of the reasons why the Switch is a bonkers selling console and the third best selling console of all time. Only beaten by the absolutely freakish historical mutators that are the Nintendo DS, and of course, the PS2. How long was our Metroid Dread run, Ross? I did know that, Uthor. I've known that for years, actually. Because it's one of the citing reasons why so many of the staff who were working on, the staff who worked on StarCraft 2, quit. When that's the reality, when you pour your heart and soul into one of the best games ever made, and some goddamned microtransaction JPEG outsells your game, that is incredibly demoralizing. It's also the world we live in, so that's cool. 12 hours. We did 100%, though, including the really hard stuff. Yeah, no kidding, Huthor. the moment, nothing has changed my opinion that it's a remaster Federation Builder. Time will see if that's true or not. This is a cool mechanic. I love how they put a thwomp right there just so you can get the idea very quickly of, here's what you're in for. You can do your own ground pounds too, by the way. So, Lord Haramont's question. How many of you out there have played Final Fantasy VI? So, Lord Haramont challenged me. I am honestly hopeful as well, Huthor. Microsoft would benefit from such an action and loses little in doing so. And while obviously Blizzard is at fault for their own side of things, and I don't want to make it sound like Activision is the devil, Activision has had a demonstrable negative impact on the rest of the company. And so has the quiet partner everyone keeps forgetting exists, which is King. So, yeah, get Blizzard out of that nonsense. They have objectively gotten worse since they merged in. Anyways. So, how do we make Final Fantasy VI a better game with as few changes as possible? And, more importantly, how do we make it a worse game with as few changes as possible? Add New Game Plus. You know what? Yeah, you win. That's how you make FF6 a better game, in one change. You add proper New Game Plus. Chrono Trigger style New Game Plus. Which isn't perfect New Game Plus, but it is still triple New Game Plus. It is still what am I supposed to do? So, make it so that you can New Game Plus any save at any time. Don't have to do it from the end game. It's actually something that irritates the crap out of me. Is when games only allow you to New Game Plus from having beaten the game. Whereas in Chrono Trigger, the inventor of the concept, at any point in a save file's life, regardless of your level, you can go at New Game Plus. So, yeah. Do that. And it carries forward everything except for plot coupons. I think money, but whatever. And yeah, sold. There you go. The game is made much better in one change. Absolutely friggin' sold. That's better than my answer, because one of my biggest complaints about FF6 for years has been that its boss design is very lacking. But there's no... That's not a one-change thing, right? That's like Blade Travel's question. Does changing, you know, all the stat balancing equal out to one change? Pretty big change. You will be the judge. Well, I'm curious what stat balancing changes you would make, though, Blade Travel, if you don't mind sharing. Oh my god, this friggin' stage! A map that what's the next person you need to talk to? Oh, you know what? Yeah. Just an icon over someone's head and a proper minimap. Although, funnily enough, the proper minimap's already in the game. That's in the Pixel Remaster version. So just rebalancing the characters? So, hang on. Obviously, there's some stat finicking that can be done, but hit me with something more complex than that. How would you make Cyan, for example, as useful as Edgar? Cyan's an easy choice, although there are other examples of that. For example, Realm's ability is very gimmicky and essentially useless. The only reason Realm manages to keep up with the rest of the party members is because her magic defense and magic stat are innately through the roof. Which means if you give her Magicite, she can very easily become your best mage by a huge margin. So, they kind of already started doing that with her. But again, like, Strago, only some of his blue magic is actually worth a damn. Same problem with Gao. The Velt, that's a negative. It's one of the only negatives I have in mind for FF6 right out the gate, is the Velt. They did help with Sign of the Pixel Master, at least I've heard. I haven't actually played the Pixel Master, obviously. But the fact that his sword text can charge while not pausing the player, that helps. But I feel like if I was to rebalance Cyan a little bit, I think I would buff several of his sword texts in very specific ways. I love this stage so much. And I would also probably make it so that he generally hits even harder than he always does. Cyan actually has very high innate stats on the melee side of things. You can be forgiven for not knowing that, though. Because Terra, Locke, Edgar, and Celeste just do more melee damage than him. Because they have access to better gear. So Cyan needs even more buffs in order to really make him be able to hang with the rest of the melee crowd, right? And he has terrible magic stats and low speed. Cyan needs to be the metaphorical equivalent of the nice big two-hander, right? The wonk, that needs to be Cyan in terms of gameplay. So he needs to hit like a freaking truck. And he does it. I don't remember how to get this one, unless it's just have a cat at this point, which might be the answer. Oh, well, whatever. Not like I need them, let's go! Fixing the Velt would take a while, I think, because that's a lot of different systems kind of running into each other. The Velt was very experimental, and it shows, because it sucks. Sorry. Like, Cyan being as slow as molasses wouldn't bother me if he was commensurately stronger, you know? Again, big swinging two-hander, right? Concentrate a little bit here, because this is really easy to screw up. I love this stage so much, though. I really do. Yeah! I suck at everything. Alright, so. Although, you want a dirty, quick and easy solution to the Velt. Make it so that any monster you've encountered can show up on the Velt, which is how it already is. And make it so that when you go to the Velt, rather than having random encounters, you can actually select an encounter group. Literally, pull up a menu. That's not what I would call great gameplay, but A, it would be better than what we have. And B, it would be very, very quick and easy to do. That would be a very easy solution. Actually fixing the Velt in a more in-depth way would be much more complex and convoluted. And take much more thought. Bowser 5. Another thing you could do, yeah, Blade Ball. Also very valid. You could also give Gao, if you want another easy solution, this would be slightly less easy. Give Gao, or make a freaking menu option. You're on the Velt, say, Gao, find a monster you don't have a rage for. And he provokes a random battle with one of the monsters on the list that he does not have a rage for. Jump. That would also make gathering everything a lot easier, too, actually filling out the rage list. Because the shame of it is the rage is actually a great mechanic. It's a wonderful cost-benefit, because it's very, very useful, but you lose control over Gao for the duration, and you have no control over what specific abilities he uses from that specific set. So it's great, it's useful, it's tricky, it's the kind of thing I would gush about, but most people don't even know how good it can be because most people don't bother because just getting the rages sucks. Anyways. I mean, most of you probably know about Cat Scratch, and the fact that Stray Cat is actually useful literally until the end of the game. But there's a lot of useful rages that I only know about because, you know, I know FF6 too well. There we go. That's right, I have the one thing all ghosts fear. A flashlight. This is just Alan Wake at this point. Anyways, sorry, so, how do we make... Rewind. How do we make FF6 substantially worse with as few changes as possible? Microtransactions. I mean, that's going for the jugular there, not gonna lie. It's just going right for it. Thank you, Doom Rider. I do always appreciate those subs. Give me a moment. I will jot that down. For Hyrule Warriors 2, FF Pixel Remasters, and Pokemon Violet. You got it. Appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, yeah, the problem is microtransactions is a little bit too easy of an answer. I mean, ending at the floating continent would make that game a lot worse, in my honest opinion. You miss out on a tremendous amount of quality dungeon design, itemization, bosses, some of the actually good bosses in that game. A ton of spells, a ton of magicite, some great character moments. Pretty much all of the majorly good character moments for a lot of characters set in the World of Ruin. Especially Cyan. Yeah, that would be a thing. No, at that point, that's just... I don't know. Let's try to drift away from meta answers. Because, yes, obviously microtransactions and NFTs and all that crap would make it worse. But, like, no. It's that applies to every game, right? What's something that would make FF6 a worse game? Like, how do you make Mega Man 1 worse? By adding microtransactions. Okay, yeah, but... You can see how there's no creative challenge there, right? More gore. I mean, that would fundamentally make FF6 a worse game, but... Anime cutscenes like Chrono Trigger. I mean, considering the PS1 version. I'm also trying not to think of any answer that's too easy. So I can give a few answers that are just very, very easy answers to that. For example, remove all of Kefka's dialogue. But that's too easy. That's way too easy. Yeah, exactly, Lord Haremont. I do think removing Kefka entirely would fundamentally make that game nowhere near as good. I've said it for years and years and years, and with the advantage of hindsight and analysis, I can say that I'm right on this specific point. No. Kefka is the main character of Final Fantasy VI. So, like, imagine Star Wars without Luke, and you kinda got it. So a lot of changes to Kefka would probably make that game a lot worse. It's one of the reasons I'm actually so nervous when it comes to the rewrite. Because if you're paying attention, Kefka is functionally going to be the villain of all of RFF. In fact, I've been putting very serious thought about introducing Kefka much earlier in the timeline, so he has more time to be established for when RFF6 shows up. Had 1 second left there. Despite how much I'm dying on this stage, this is definitely another positive stage. I love this stage. The escalation here is great. Hojo? No. Very, very few FF characters are get off my screen for me. Very few. I actually can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure there are some, but... I've got an answer. Obviously, we've heard some good answers. I don't want to sound dismissive there. You know, just doubling the number of random encounters, getting rid of Enknon, tripling out, you know, like, how much experience it takes to get things, removing Magicite. All of these things are things that would probably cause the game to be substantially worse. Make Celeste comic relief. Take one of the core emotional characters of the entire work and turn her story into a joke. You mean she isn't super bad? No, I'm joking, Yeah, oopsie-doopsie, I got mind controlled. Listen, Locke, like... Is there any chance we could, like, totes make this work, yo? Oh, I'm not a traitor, by the way. This is her voice, by the way. That's a good question, Ross. No, just make her a joke. Essentially what I want you to do is I want you to picture Jar Jar Binks and all of the terrible attempts at humor, and that's Celeste. Yeah, make her Olaf from Frozen. That's what I mean when I'm saying make her. When I'm saying make her comic relief. I mean destroy her character fundamentally. I mean, Olaf is the best character in the history of the universe, but... I didn't even notice I was clinging to the wall. I was stuck on this one for so long. Just there's 2 timers on this level. It really would completely destroy the gameplay to all. Alright, so like Gen 1 and 2, and then Fire Red, Sapphire, and then probably Platinum, and then Black and White 2. And then that would be X and Y, and then whatever the frickin' Sun and Moon one was. I think that's caught up. That's everything, right? That might not be too bad, because that's only 2 games per. Oh, right, I forgot about Heart Gold. I actually forgot about the whole bunch. That's 3 for that one. What if GTA 5 is a bad game? Alright, spot Luigi. I'm not sure if he's on this screen, actually. I don't see him, actually. How to make GTA 5 worse in one choice. Yeah, remove the 3rd ending. You remove the 3rd ending, and that sort of slide down in quality that GTA 5 has would never have then suddenly gone back up. It would just continue sliding down in quality until the end. As I think we showed very clearly. Yeah, no, Gen 1 was a tech demo, to be as blunt about that as I can. Gen 2 is a game. My opinion. Oh, this stage. Oh, this stage. And yeah, we're already dead. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm so glad I'm not 100%ing. 100%ing this stage is such a thing. You have no idea what 100%ing this stage is like. I've done it twice. Yeah, I remember being impressed with the post-game of Gen 2 back in the day. And then I went back through, like, when I was much older, and being substantially less impressed with it. Because it's really vacuous. There's no real content there to speak of. It's mostly just, here's some more fights. And death. Yeah, it had a post-game, which is one of the first times where I personally had encountered a game that had a post-game at all. And I think that's part of what caught me about that. I mean, hell, you probably don't know this, but in the review, one of the categories we rate for positives and negatives is post-game. Hardly any games we've reviewed have positives or negatives of that because most games don't have post-games. The concept either doesn't apply, or they just don't have it, right? Like, that's just, it's not a thing. The fight against Red is not a good fight. I'm sorry. Please don't kill me, Lord Hermon. I can explain why. I have reasoning behind that opinion, but it's very, very problematic. So the problem with the fight against Red is that he is an absolute monster. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, yeah, it's Red. That's not really the problem. Gen 2 has no real mechanism for grinding other than the boring method. They wouldn't invent a proper grind method in Pokemon until Gen 4, actually. The refight mechanic. So, what that means is you're fighting a Pikachu who's level 80, and you're probably in your 40s with maybe one Pokemon who's about 50, maybe 60. And that's kinda it, right? Like, that's the problem in a nutshell. Is that grinding in Gen 2 is just a thing, just like it is in Gen 1, just like it is in Gen 3. That's pretty much the issue there. The fight itself is actually pretty legit. I am especially pleased. That fight actually taught me that Snorlax is actually worth a damn. I know that sounds stupid, but like that was kind of an eye-opener. It's like, oh my god. I thought Snorlax was crap. Little did I know. I think... I don't know this for total certainty, but I think that one of the problems is that Gen 1 is a relatively short game. And I think that, as per usual, the reason why developers usually add grind to make the game longer is why Gen 2 kind of leaned into grind a bit more, because they were a little bit discouraged about how short Gen 1 was. Thanks for that hammer. Appreciate you. Hey, Dream Whisperer. Hey, Oxymoron. Thank you, as always, for the sub. If you know which up to 3 things you'd like to put that towards, please let me know. God damn it. Oh! Should be doing this as Peach. Whatever, we got this, we got this. Let me... Next time I die, I'll write it down, Oxymoron. Don't worry, I'm sure it'll only be about a minute. Maybe less. Let's see. 1. I know about one. Does one count, Ross? There's apparently 3. I assume you're not counting all 3 starters. That is to say, all 3 forms of the starter. It's terminology. You know, I don't actually remember, Lord Irma. And right at the finish line. Okay, so let's write down oxymorons. Donations here. Oxymoron, BL2. That's going towards DBZ Kakarot, Resident Evil Block, and Gothic 1. I will freely admit that while I did enjoy Gen 2, Gen 2 was the first time I enjoyed a Pokemon game. I've said that before. The first time I really got into Pokemon was specifically with Platinum. I never played Diamond or Pearl. In fact, I still haven't. But it was the first time that, like, all the quality of life features were there. The online trading mechanic was there, which helped me to actually trade for the first time ever. I don't remember what else. There was a bunch of quality of life features. Oh yeah, including a method of grinding. And you're probably thinking, Lord, you're against grinding. Why do you want there to be grind? Well, first of all, there is grind in the old Pokemons. You just go out and you find random Pokemon in the wilds, and they give like 1/10 of the experience of what a trainer battle does. I forget the actual number. It's less. You get much less from wild Pokemon than you do from trainer Pokemon. The ability to refight trainers was a godsend. The other thing that added was, for the first time, I felt like it was actually feasible to try and actually fill out the Pokédex. Because a lot of the Pokédex is get X Pokemon to Y level. And, that involves leveling. And I couldn't afford doing that. All my X had to go to my main team, which had to get all the experience. I had to, like, plan all the experience that my main team would get throughout the course of the game in order to actually make sure that they had the experience they needed to beat the game. In Platinum, I could refight people. And Shazam, right? Now, we all know Pokemon Moon is the best Pokemon game, bar none. You could, Lord Harrimont. That is a true statement, which is factually correct. But no, Gen 4 is what really added that as a mechanic. Because in Gen 2, you would register someone in a phone conversation, and they had a chance. First of all, you couldn't do that with every fighter. Second of all, which person called you for a refight would be random. Third of all, you can only get one refight at a time. And fourth of all, when they'd call you at all would be completely random. So while the mechanic did exist, it was terrible. In Gen 4, every 100 steps you take, you could just say, I want to refight you. Now, it's not perfect, because what would happen is it would be like, blah, 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 and they could basically decide, sure, I'll refight you, or no, I refuse to. But then if they refuse you, you just take another 100 steps, and then, Now that I think about it, there was a game that did that before Gen 4. I forgot about that. It's the remakes of Gen 1 in Gen 3. So, Fire Red and Leaf Green is the first game that actually did that mechanic. I forgot about that. Another reason those remakes were good. And then in Platinum, same concept. Yeah, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum was Gen 4. What is the stage we just did? Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Villager Snow. Villager Snow hates me! I knew it! Yeah, Gen 5... Every Pokemon game has had a story axis. But Gen 5 is probably the first one that had what I would call a plot. Now, I'd be wrong about that. Because Gen 3 also had a plot. It was just very stupid. As a reminder, Gen 3's plot was either, we need more land, or, we need more water. Oh no, we're idiots! And that's the plot of Gen 3. I didn't talk about this last time because I was, hanging out with my niece at the time, but this is a fun boss. Well, fun for certain definitions of the word. Emerald's plot is... I have no idea, because I've never played Emerald. Probably blah 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 Rayquaza, blah blah blah. Overpowered as hell, blah blah blah. 5 is Black and White 1 and 2. And I believe that's it. Unlike Gen 4, which is Platinum, Diamond, Pearl, and Soul Silver, and no, whatever the Gold remake is. I don't remember. Getsy's Huthor. Heart Gold, that's it. Heart Gold. Sorry, Ledge Ball. What's funny is some people in some franchises prefer numbers and some people prefer names. And so I kind of I try to keep track of both, just in general. Like recently I've been asked to try and keep track of which expansions in WoW are which expansions based on number rather than name. Because in my head it's so obvious. BC, Wrath, Kata, Pandaria, Warlords, Legion, BFA, Shadow, Dragon. But like, those names in a vacuum don't mean anything. So if I say, oh man, this came out in BFA, it's like, right? So I understand, and I've been trying to keep track of both. But anyways, moving on. Getting off topic. Point being, I hate this boss. If this is the one I think it is. And it is. Anyways, yeah, no, Getsy's... Ugh. You know what we might do, Lord Harriman? Because the only weird one there would be the DS versions, right? So that's Platinum, Soul Silver, and Black and White 2. Could someone do me a favor and pull up the list really quick and tell me where each game I just listed is at? Because I'm pretty sure all of them, I hate this boss so much, are on the list. Good afternoon, Dark Prince. I do hope the con is treating you well. Make sure to wash your hands. One of my favorite memes about Lusamine is there's an image of, like, her right next to an image of, Cyrus from Gen 4. And it's like, one of these people is, like, in their 50s, and the other one is, like, 20-something. Which one's which? And no, she's the older one. Anime characters, am I right? Yeah, Cyrus is really young. He looks like he's in his 40s. Cyrus has no business being in Pokemon as a setting, in my opinion. In a hypothetical Pokemon rewrite, which I'm not committing to, by the way, Cyrus probably couldn't exist. But then again, by that same token, I'm not sure Getsy's could exist either. So I'd have to think about that.
Oh yeah!
Lucamine's a little different, although the fact that she's being controlled from an external source is kind of diminishes her as a character, but at the same time makes her a little bit more believable. So I don't know. I could make Lucamine work in you know, a hypothetical rewrite. I don't know what I would do with Cyrus. I know, but, like, you get my point, though, right? It would be really easy to make Lucamine work by just saying... Oh, yeah, there's the tower I mentioned. Gotta have the hotel, right? Rainbow Lightning. On brand. I would make Lucamine, like, really, really driven to understand the... I forget what they're called, Pokemon. You know, the alien Pokemon. And then she's like, aha! I'm driven by desperation for whatever reason. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Driven by desperation, I will merge with this Pokemon. And then she's just wrong in the head from that point on because she's merged with an alien creature. There you go. There's Lucamine. Done. Fixed. I love how on brand this whole level is. I love how I just got hit for no goddamn reason there. Because I'm just that stupid. There you go, boom. There's her motivation. You little son of a submariner. You get to die for your friend's mistake now. Never get in front of a train. Pro tip, the train is me. Get out of my way. What's up? Cool. Good talk. Favorite legendary, real quick. And if applicable, why? So you like platforming bosses, right? Tell me about this. Do you like Bowser in a furry suit? Yeah, I don't know. Just go with it. Just go with it. I admit a fondness for Zapdos. For all the wrong reasons. It's because the first time I ever caught a Zapdos, first of all, it took me way, way too long. I think I've told that story before. That was a pain in the ass. Because, you know, catch rates in Gen 1 were stupid. And actually bugged. But, second of all, because Zapdos then became the strongest member of my party by a huge margin. And I just kind of swept the entire rest of the game with just him. He also looks cool. And looking cool is very important to me when it comes to Pokemon. I'm not actually joking about that. I love cool-looking Pokemon. It's one of the reasons I love Crobat so much. This Crobat right here. I love this song, too. Yeah, I usually don't use legendaries nowadays, just because most legendaries don't do it for me. So yes, Bowser's using the clone shroom, or the clone cherry, rather. So that's cool.
Oh.
I don't actually know what happened there. What, you don't like dog with a sword in his mouth, Huthor? Whoops.
Oh.
See, now you got me thinking. Can I think of a legendary past Gen 4 that I actually liked? I can think of plenty of Pokemon past Gen 4 that I like, but legendary-wise, the only maybes are, I don't even remember its name, Y from Gen 6, and the Moon from Sun and Moon. That's all I got. Now, granted, I haven't played Violet, and I haven't played Arceus. Yeah, Yveltal, or however you're supposed to pronounce that. I wasn't counting variants, but I agree with you, Blade Joel. I have no idea, Lord Hermon. I haven't played Violet. Like, I don't know. I got nothing. Of course, I'm the freak who actually likes the ice cream Pokemon, so what the hell do I know? Vanillux. Yep. And yeah, Lunala. I like Lunala. And Yveltal, or however you pronounce that. I like the Chandelier Pokemon. Like, honestly, if I just pull up... Name a generation after 4, because I guarantee you I could pick out Pokemon I like from them. I think it's because everyone's focusing on Arceus first. Gen 6, okay. Here we go. That's right, we've taken over. Welcome to the Mario Empire. Okay, this is taking forever to load on my phone. I'm just gonna do it on my computer. Aw, poor Bowser. He just wanted his theme park. Speaking of which, I'm feeling double positives for music. It's not the level of Galaxy 1 or 2, but it's some good stuff. Okay, here we go, Gen 6. So, obviously Greninja, that's a gimme. I do like Pangoro. That's been a main of mine several times. I unironically like Aegislash. Come at me. Tyrantrum is a fun one. Sylveon. It's an EV type, so why not? Trevenant. I love Trevenant. Trevenant's actually among my favorite ghost types ever. Trevenant is awesome. Noivern, which is the bat flying dragon. It looks like that's actually it, but still. There you go. There's several Gen 6 ones. Listen, Huthor. We all have to break a few human rights ethics in order to have our theme park, okay? How do you think Disneyland was built? Alright. Well, we've got 4 more worlds worth of stages. You will notice that we didn't have to grind for any of the,
Mario time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. We didn't have to grind for progression here, by the way, which is good. So that's a negative we're skipping over. Well, what's a gen you actually know, Lord Harriman? I'm sorry, I don't mean that as an insult, like so I can point to stuff. Because I have to pull up the list to remind myself. Because I tend to forget what Pokemon came out in which generation. There's so many new Pokemon in Gen 5. I mean, I always forget that for some stupid reason. So, first of the special stages. There are 4 special stages. Star Mushroom Flower, and then Crown. Now, just like in Mario 3D Land, most of these are remixes. So, we'll see how we do here. Yeah, World Crown is extremely mean. Hang on, so Gen 4. We'll use Gen 4, Lord Harriman. So, favorite Pokemon in Gen 4. Give me a sec. Luxray. That's an easy one. Pachirisu. It's right here. That's obvious. I actually like Lopunny. It's a pretty solid normal type that hits like a heavy and doesn't look like one at all, and I just kind of like the aesthetic of it. Mismagius, which is awesome, obviously. Gotta have those ghost types. Speaking of which, Garchomp, which is like the best Pokemon in the game. Abomasnow, that's a fun one. Leafeon. I've got that over there. You can't see it. Got Leafeon's over there. Frostlass. I love Frostlass. That was actually one of my mains in Gen 4. I think that might be it other than the legendaries. Yeah, that's it other than legendaries. Yes, Lucario is Gen 4. Also known as the 3rd most popular Pokemon. Alright, let's do this. Melodic is Gen 3, Lord Harriman. I actually know that off the top of my head. So... Prepare to die. We've got moving platforms, moving enemies on a pattern that's off the platform's pattern, and obstacles just in the movement of the terrain, the energy thing. So we've got 3 layers of obstacles on the first screen of the first stage. That's what we're in for. It's a great, hey, welcome to the special world kind of a thing. Then we have a bit of a breather. You have to actually work at it to die here. And then it gets worse. You'll also notice getting the green stars is getting much harder than it used to be. I might actually just start not trying for green stars at this point. And just kind of start trying to do the levels, because holy crap. And we're dead. Now, you want to hear something funny, Lord Hermot? I have to really think about it to think of a Gen 1 Pokemon I like. I'm sure I could come up with one, but I have to think about it. Why I'm doing this? Probably because I'm insane and stupid. Oh my god, come on, there we go. I can't think of a... So, Haunter. I actually mained a Haunter for a very long time in Gen 1. Let me think about that for a second. You know what? Nidoking and or Queen. I'm kind of ambivalent on which. I've always liked heavy Pokemon. That's my definition. Heavy is big old pile of stats, right? Lots of health. Lots of damage. Usually a normal type. Oh my god. And yeah, actually Snorlax. God damn this game. So yeah, Snorlax, you know, like I said, Nidoking, Nidoqueen, Haunter. You know what? I've always had a soft spot for Beedrill. It's kind of one of those objectively not a good Pokemons, but I mean, I don't care. Exactly what those know. You finished the tutorial stages, right? Right? Okay, cool. You're walking into every level with a full pocket full of power-ups, right? So if you're not, maybe you should. Oh, God, okay. I don't really like... I mean, Eevee's... I don't like Eevee. And I'm not a big fan of Flareon or Vaporeon. Jolteon's okay. And is also, in Gen 1 and Gen 1 only, is a Mewtwo killer. So I had one in my party for that reason. I like Espeon too, quite a lot in fact. That's Gen 2. Yeah, you know the one closest to Stealth. I disagree with everything that just happened. You little snot. What? That isometric angle is really starting to hurt me here. I always wanted to like Lapras and kind of don't. Like, I don't know. I always feel like Lapras should look differently than it does. Which I don't have a way to explain. It's just, it looks weird to me. I admit I am fond of Vulpix nowadays, although only because of the Platy run. When we were doing, oh god, I can't think of it. The other Gen 1 remake. Alright, hold up. That's it, let's go. Alright, so anyway, so we're gonna exit the course. We're gonna go get some power-ups. Oh yeah, we're also gonna switch to Peach while we're here. I like Dragonair. Dragonair's cool. Svelte, sleek, you know, got that kind of classy vibe going on. I'm with it. I do not like Dragonite, and I never have. I forgot about Magnemite. I'll give you Magnemite. For some reason, well, in my head, Magnemite was a Gen 2 Pokemon because I think of Magnemite as Steel type. My bad. So, like I said, Lord Harriman, I can come up with Gen 1 Pokemon I like. It's just, I gotta think about it. Now, Gen 2, I can think of tons of Pokemon in Gen 2 that I like right off the top of my head. Obviously, Crobat, also right behind me. Espeon, we just mentioned that one. No, my favorite type is, depends on my mood, but it's either Ghost, Steel, or Poison. I'm also very fond of Ice. During one of my Poison Challenge runs, I gained a great deal of appreciation for, I think it's Muck. Whichever one the second one is. Because Muck is a frickin' tank. Like, Muck is just, comes out swinging, you know? And you wouldn't think that, because none of the NPCs really use Muck to good effect. But no, Muck just comes out swinging, right?
Let's go!
Join us, Valerian. Play Pokemon. Give in to your anger. I remember when I was playing Gen 2 for the very first time, I thought I was so clever because I had an Espeon who had Bite. Which is a dark move on a Psychic type. So, like, I just suddenly had coverage. It was pretty much the first time I understood the concept of coverage, is the best way to put that. I remember feeling so clever with myself for having discovered that completely on my own. True Whisperer. Really, Ross? Well, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I know very, very little about Violet. I'd like to keep it that way. I was not that young, Lord Airpot. That would have been high school for me. God damn it, whatever. I disagree with everything happening here. It's okay. I reserve the right to be wrong. I usually don't like starters in general, JBS. I know, I'm weird. Like, I have to really sit and think about a starter that I actually like. I don't even remember the Gen 6 starters. I liked Decidueye. That was Gen 7. I very unironically like Decidueye. So as usual, the first couple of platforms are, here's the mechanic. Hope you're ready for this. It's gonna get worse. I don't remember any of those. So, fun fact, I actually like Chikorita too. I've always had a fondness for grass types. Which is funny, because I get heckled for that a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Greninja, no. I know he's super popular, but not my thing. Yeah, I tend to default towards the grass starters whenever given an option. I know, Chikorita, like, everyone makes fun of Chikorita as the starter because it's just so bad. But, again, I don't really care. There are a few Pokemon I like because they are, you know, stat-wise good. But that's a really, really small list, honestly. Hell, even some of those I like because they're cool or interesting. And they just also happen to have good stats. Like, God, what's it called? Oh, hey, there's the observatory in the background. The thing I can't think of the name of. Oh, my God. Garchomp. Garchomp's just cool, right? Sure, it's one of the most powerful Pokemon in the entire game, but I don't care. It's just cool. What do you want from me? Yeah, it's a freaking shark dragon. Of course I like... Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I looked away for a second. I actually really like Tyranitar. On paper. I've never gotten good use out of a Tyranitar because it just levels too slowly. You can't even use a Tyranitar until level what? Someone tell me. What level at which do you finally get the Tyranitar? That's true, it's a hammerhead. 55! 50 goddamn 5! Most Pokemon games, you have already beaten the game at level 55. It's the exact same problem with giving you really cool stuff in the final dungeon of an RPG. It's neat, but I kind of don't care. Because we're at the end of the game. Mew is the cutest Pokemon in the entire franchise. Changed my mind. Yeah, exactly. You can't even get a Tyranitar until you're in the super optional dungeon. I have actually used cheats periodically to give myself, you know, a Pokemon I like much earlier, just because I want to be able to have that Pokemon throughout the course of the game. Tyranitar being one of those. So now we can play as objectively the best character in the game. Finally.
Come on! I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, what's really a shame is Dragapult is actually really, really good. It was one of my mains in our Sealed and Sword and Shield run. So, Rosalina has the spin, straight out of Galaxy. And it does everything that it's supposed to, just like it does in Galaxy. Like, it is exactly as useful as it was in Galaxy. So, for more detailed explanation of that, Jesus Christ, please watch my Galaxy 1 and 2 review. Sword and Shield does have the 2 expansions, so that helps. So I was actually able to use Dragapult there. I like Gardevoir because screw the internet. I mentioned that earlier with Lopunny, too. I don't care that people have sexualized a Pokemon. That's gross. I don't care. Lopunny's cool, and Gardevoir's cool. Like, Gardevoir is a freaking psychic death machine, which in lore actually generates black holes. You know? Yeah, actually, while we're on the subject, I liked both Pokemon before I became aware of the fact that the internet is, in fact, the internet. Yeah, Gardevoir is a sweeper. Gardevoir is... Yeah, I just feel like killing stuff now. I do actually like Glade. The idea of a sword Pokemon sounds cool to me. If only Sword and Shield had done that. Yeah, no, Gardevoir's legit. I'm sorry. Screw the internet. Hang on, I need an immediate assassination order on Pillars of Snow. Thank you. Alright, so... Oh, I love Frostlass. Frostlass is cool. That sounds cool. Oh, God. Mega Man characters, except they play Pokemon. And we're dead. Dang this. I actually really like Mimikyu. It's a cheat, but my favorite of all of the... My favorite of all of the not Pikachus in Pokemon is Mimikyu. Now, that is a cheat because there's several Pokemon that are like, oh man, they're totally like not Pikachu. And Mimikyu isn't actually one of those. They're talking about like Pachirisu or the big fat type I can't think of, or Plusle and Minun. But I'm going to cheat anyways and say Mimikyu, because Mimikyu's awesome. I do not know what a Florges is. Let's look it up. Florges. What gen is this? Ah, apparently Gen 6. Don't think I've seen it before. Looks cool. I need to get a Fire Flower so you can see how cool Rosalina looks with the Fire Flower. I mean, they all look cool with the Boomerang Bro. What, is she a Mythic? Because I noticed she was right down by Shaman. She's a Mythic. By the way, how do you like this level design? I was actually about to ask, when does Daisy get access to Fire Flower? And I was like, oh, right. You spoiled me! You spoiled me, and that Fire Flowers exist in Mario Wonder. How could you, sir? That's star 3.
Let's go.
Alright, here's the question. Oh yeah. This is actually a really fun stage. I like this stage. How many of you... So I want you... If there is such a thing, if you can think of such a thing, I want you to think of an objectively bad Pokemon that you like anyways, for whatever reason. And we're dead. Favorite Pokemon plot? Does Magikarp count? Depends. Is it because of Gyarados? Because if the answer is yes, then the answer is no. That would be the point for Gyarados, not Magikarp. Butterfree. I was actually going to say Beedrill. That's what reminded me of that. I very unironically enjoy Beedrill, and honestly, Beedrill isn't that good. Two seconds left. And I got all 3 stars. Tauros was way too good. I don't like Tauros because it's ugly, but Tauros is way too good.
Yay!
Gen 2 also taught me that Miltank can be, well, you know, Miltank. That Miltank would also qualify as a heavy, consequently. I've never really liked Skarmory or Skarmory or whatever the hell its name is. Probably because I can never get its name right. I suppose Mimikyu would be another one of those bad, but I like it, for me. Good morning, Darkrai. No. It's bad, but I like it that I haven't already named. Honestly, a lot of grass types. I've always been fond of grass, just in general. So. Sunkern qualifies as objectively bad. The reason I say objectively bad, I'm not trying to say that they suck. I'm trying to say that when you look at their stat totals and or their ability spreads, they just don't hold up compared to even equivalent Pokemon, right? So, that's what I mean when I say objectively bad. Like, yeah, Dunsparce is objectively a bad Pokemon. Chikorita. We were talking about that earlier. Chikorita is just inferior to the other starters. Like, there's no arguing that. Honestly, Zubat, while we're on the subject. Which, for the record, I do like Zubat. I mostly like it because of Crobat, I'm not gonna lie, but I still like Zubat for what it is. Burmy? No thank you. There are several bug Pokemon I like, but that's not one of them. Yeah, Sandshrew. There's in Gen 5, there's a Crocodile type, which isn't objectively bad. I was just reminded of it. Which I really, really like. It ended up being one of my mains during one of my Gen 5 playthroughs. Oh god, it totally does, Lord Hermon. You're absolutely right. But yeah, low stat total, bad typing, and bad ability spread. That's what usually qualifies as a bad Pokemon. Yeah, Shuckle's interesting. Shuckle requires some work to work. But Shuckle can actually be pretty mean. Onyx, yeah.
Let's go.
So here's what her form looks like. I like how it looks like she has a freaking dress on, by the way. I'll try to keep this the whole way through, just so you can see it during the victory screen. No promises. We are on the special worlds, after all. Oh, whoops. I'm stupid. I'm not gonna make it now. Way too slow. Oh, well. Not really going for green stars at this point, anyways. I am curious how far behind we'll get, though.
Good.
I predict it's gonna happen. How many of you think we're actually gonna run into a wall on progression and we're gonna need to go grind? Well, we would need to go grind if I didn't have a save with everything unlocked. I mean, Rattata and Raticate are objectively bad, but you can still make them work. You can make any Pokemon work. Oh, we got 0 this time around. Jesus. So, look at it. Now I gotta get a Fire Flower so you can see that version of her. Excuse me. I mean, Toxic is a fantastic ability, ironically. Anything that also does Greater Poison, or whatever it's called, is just fantastic. Yeah, badly poisoned. At this stage. Badly poisoned is how I managed to kill Mewtwo with a low-level Vulpix. Set him on fire and got him badly poisoned. Tick, tick, dead. in Pokemon Let's Go, in order to catch a Pokemon, you have, in order to catch a boss Pokemon, like a legendary, you have to actually defeat it first. Once you have done so, then you can start trying to catch it. Like, it won't even let you try until then. It's getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them! Please, hold your applause. Yeah, I've actually been pretty critical of how you catch Pokemon in Pokemon games for a really long time at this point. In fact, Pokemon games... So, there's 2 big things that almost always get negatives in Pokemon games. The first is that catching Pokemon kind of sucks. The second is that figuring out how to evolve Pokemon or how to get certain Pokemon, you know, in other words, figuring out how to catch them all is a whole thing. And almost always involves information that involves looking up a frickin' wiki. And you know my opinions on that. We actually coined the term info in-game because of Pokemon Shield specifically. Yeah, I will never forget, I just referenced it earlier, I'll never forget the first time I caught Zapdos. Which involves sitting there and whittling it down and then throwing about 70 Great Balls at it. And then reloading my save because I didn't catch it. And doing that several times. There's the boomerang suit. But yeah, like, some of the Pokemon, the evolutions or the methods of procurement are just... What? Star 6. Hot, I remember that. The Pillars of Snow.
Let's go!
One of the jungle levels. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. I am Rosalina. Bow before me and despair. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't even remind me about getting a melodic. Hell, quite frankly, just getting a Feebas was already problematic. And then getting a melodic. Yeah, Rosalina's awesome. I really hope we get more with her someday. And by that I mean, we're never going to get more with her, but it's okay, because I'll do a Mario rewrite someday. And then we'll do this. Behold my infinite power. Unlimited power. Yeah, even with a guide, getting a Feebas is stupid. So it's like stupid twice, right? It's RNG, and then it's guide, walkthroughitis. Tell me about it, Jabez. Just grab that.
Woohoo!
Wait. I can just go get a Feebas in Violet, Darkrai? I mean, okay, real talk, whether or not walkthroughitis is bad is kind of a philosophical thing rather than an objective thing. But I will always stand by the fact that it is a negative for the review. A game is not improved by the fact that a wiki exists, right? But, you know, if you have access to the internet, it's whatever, right? This stage is a fun one. This is another one of those open world playground stages. Oh yeah, by the way, she just has an attack, so she doesn't need a power-up to be able to break blocks. It's another way she's kind of objectively better than the others. She can just, you know, not have to retain a power-up throughout a stage in order to access certain stars. I don't know, Dream Whisperer. I haven't, like, I only played it, by which I mean watched my niece play it, very, very briefly at launch. And I do agree with the overall consensus. It was pretty crap. Don't know if it's been patched into acceptability since then. I mean, I'm actually completely with you, Lord Hermont, and I hate to use FF6 as the example here, but that's one of the reasons I like FF6's approach to its secrets and its optional stuff. Every secret in FF6 is explained by someone in the game. And the game actually kind of encourages you to talk to every NPC, especially in the World of Ruin. So, there's no walkthroughitis, there's no info in-game, because someone somewhere is telling you, hey, go do this and this and that and that. And there's another layer to that, too, because every NPC tells you useful information, and there's no wasted information. The player is encouraged to talk to everybody. Now, that's important. Because some games will do a thing where 9 NPCs will tell you nothing, and then 1 NPC will tell you something useful, and that's a little more problematic. But in FF6, pretty much everyone will say, oh, hey, yeah, there's this one castle that I found, and it's up near this area, and this is what happened when I was there, right? And the player's like, aha. Exactly, Ross. Simon's Quest is pretty much the example of how not to do NPCs helpful, in my opinion. Frankly, Zelda 2 has the same problem. I've been joking about it all week, but I know nothing is actually a quote from one of the NPCs in Zelda 2. And yeah, there's the infamous I am error. Oh yeah, there's the stuff! Gosh, it looks so cool! Sorry. Rosalina's best. Now I should probably actually figure out how to get up there. Yeah, several RPGs manage this pretty well, I'd say. I'm gonna have to do a little research on Zelda 2 when we get there. Because by memory, which is a vague memory, the I am error guy, that's not a bug. That's not a localization error. He still says that in the Japanese version of the game. He's just that helpful. Oh hey, Death Fog. That's always great. As a reminder, that is instant death. Like I said, I'm gonna have to do a little more research on the specifics, play to all. The last time I really looked into Zelda 2 was when I did the Then and Now, and that was a while ago.
Yay! Oh no!
Well, there goes the Fire Flower. We didn't need that anyways. What the... Oh, no.
Whoa!
And death.
Oh no!
Which I accept. Death always the end. Excuse me. That's actually been something I've heard posited several times before. An actual, honest-to-goodness, you have a party Pokemon game. Instead of it all being 1v1, right? Oh, right. Oh, whatever. Too late. The biggest downside is that would probably throw the balance for a loop. But, you know. Having said that, one of my biggest wish lists for mainline Pokemon games, this is not a joke, is to make duel battles the norm. Just make that the standard method of gameplay instead of 1v1. So every match is 2v2. Except for the ones that are 3v3 or 4v4. But point being, 2v2 being the bottom. So much about Pokemon changes when you get into a 2v2 battle. Possibly Pillars of Snow? Aha! We're finally low on stars. We always knew it would happen. Well, time to quit the game immediately. And say thank you to Bearclaw. Thank you, Bearclaw, very, very much.
Super Mario 3D World! Meow.
Always appreciate you. And if you want to put that towards up to 3 games in particular, please let me know. So anyways, then we do this stage.
Let's go!
No! For God's sakes. There we go. Okay, hang on. This is... There we go. Jesus. Hi. Yeah, no, really. The gloves have come off. Notice they give us a breather section after that. Excuse me. Well, hang on. That's... We're dead, but no, hang on. I got this. I got this. Good news. I hit the wrong button. All part of the strategy, really. Well, and we're dead. Maybe. Well, that didn't work out at all. You know, I do like the idea of the trainer mattering more into the equation, because if we're being honest, the trainer doesn't matter at all, right? Like, the trainer might as well not even be there. In gameplay terms. Then again, I also think the terrain should matter, too. And, you know, it doesn't. I mean, I suppose that's fair, Lord Harrimont, but, like, I feel like you're pulling a little bit of it technically there. It's like, hang on, there is one thing that barely qualifies, and it's like, well, okay. So, time for the remix levels.
Let's go.
Yeah, so you like comets, right? Because that's what these are. These are effectively the comet levels. And yeah, I know there's the weather moves, but that's not really what I'm talking about.
Whoa!
I guess what I'm saying in summary is I would kind of like the actual area in which you fight to matter more, because it kind of doesn't. And of course, while that would matter for overworld stuff and dungeon stuff and going through Team Rocket kind of stuff, the place that would probably matter the most is in the gym battles. Because they could have the gym set up for something that benefits them personally in their battles, right? I do agree weather needs a bit of an overhaul in that series. Oh, okay. It's true, you can also set up the gym completely neutrally. Specifically to be fair. Hell, that could be a storytelling point. Is that, you know, gym X, Y, or Z actually have no terrain modifiers. Possibly Lord Harriman, but I don't think that's a good enough reason to eject the idea outright. Really, game? Really? It's freaking mice, I swear to God. Gonna be fancy, just go! Having said that, now you got me thinking, because I kind of like the idea you just mentioned, Lord Harriman. Probably not as a default, but like, imagine when you walk into the gym, there's a frickin' dude there. Do you want the hard mode version of the gym? Or the normal version of the gym, or an easy version. There'd probably be 3, right?
Let's go!
Normal version would probably be like, they have benefits to water or whatever, and detriments if you don't have the ability to be on, you know, to deal with the air, or deal with the water, you know what I mean? Hard mode would be, you're bringing the right type of Pokemon, or screw you. And easy mode would be, doesn't matter at all, just bring whatever. The stats aren't really different, but the terrain is different, you know? Ideally, the AI would be a little different, too. Since in Pokemon games, the AI really should be the source of most of the difficulty. That's another thing you can do, Blade Ball. Add, like, a gym re-challenge thing. Which could also solve some of the grind problem, by giving the player an automatic way to fight trainers, high-level trainers, even, in order to level up their mons. No. Remember, we still have Bowser's Fury to go through, Justin. We might finish the vanilla game today. I'm not really in a hurry, because there's no way we can finish today, like I said. It's okay, I don't blame you for forgetting it, because apparently it was the question of the day. Yeah, exactly, Lord Harriman. Similar concept. Similar concept. I'm always in favor of those kind of things in a game where it encourages you to try something different or new, without actually mandating it. Yeah, right now I'm just kind of rapid-firing these, because I don't think any of these individual levels are going to be a positive. We'll probably give a positive for comet levels, because that's what these are. Good luck, Ross. It's a lot messier than it sounds. What would you replace them with, Lord Harriman? You know, honestly, unironically, that's probably a good idea. Game. Thank you. The totem system? God, I don't even remember the totem system in Gen 7. Remind me. Like, I played Gen 7. In fact, I streamed Gen 7, but I don't... It's not hitting any bells. Oh, that's right. They didn't have gym leaders. They had gym leaders. I don't know. I was fine with it, but I don't think it's superior to the gym system. I just think it's interesting. Quite frankly, the game that I think did the gym system overall best so far, primarily in narrative, honestly, but still, would be Sword and Shield. Yeah, I know. Everybody hates Sword and Shield. But not me, because I like Sword and Shield. Yeah, no, make it a frickin' league. Make it straight up football, which they did. That was awesome. Do that again, please. I know they don't, because I'm pretty sure they didn't do that in Violet or Arceus. Yeah, no men. I'm not looking for answers. I'm just commenting. Sword and Shield was certainly a controversial one to review. We debated for a very long time if the absence of previous features qualified as a negative, because it's kind of a unique case, if you think about it. Anyway, so I'm just going to leave this course real quick. I might skip most of these, honestly. These are just remix levels. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got? Alright. For what? I'm sorry, Bleachball. Oh, we did give it a negative. One negative. For the fact that the previous Pokemon weren't in it. In many ways, it boiled down to the fact that Pokemon at its core, really, even from a purely gameplay perspective, is a lot about bringing your favorites, right? Everybody has... God damn it. Everybody has their favorites, and everybody wants to use their favorites. And not being able to objectively made the game worse, which is the definition of a negative to gameplay. We even had a very, very, very lengthy discussion about how to fix that problem. Because as many people point out, there's how many thousand Pokemon at this point? And they keep adding new Pokemon, which continues to be a mistake.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know. They don't actually care about the game design line of things. They're only doing that because they want to have more toys, because the merchandising is what really matters in Pokemon. Blah, blah, blah. I get it. Doesn't mean I like it. ...2017? Jesus. Bullying the bullies. Like, what kind of sucks, too, is I don't mind being encouraged to try new Pokemon. Gen 5. But Gen 5 still had the national dex, you know? Agreed, Jabez. The one game per year model has never been a good idea for anything ever. Except maybe like back in the 80s and 90s when it legitimately only took a few months to make a game. Yeah, or one Marvel movie per year, or one Star Wars movie per year. This is actually not the stage I wanted to start, so we're gonna skip this one. It's okay, I got a couple of lives. What's this one? Oh, maybe not.
Let's go.
I mean, I know that in Reality Land there are issues getting in the way of this, but what would probably be a better model is release a Pokemon game when it's ready to be released. Listen, nostalgia is all that matters, Ross. I demand that you remember, right? Remember? Remember me. Anyways. Agreed, Ball. What irritates me the most about the Pokemon Violet one specifically is that it's... We know. We have data. We have receipts that prove that the reason that one in specific was delayed, or rather wasn't delayed, was in order to line up with toy sales, which is just really, really irritating of a fact to learn, right? Like, I don't know what else to add to that. Hey, yeah, your game is worse because they needed to make a release date so that they could sell more toys.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyways, we're just kind of doing a bit of a showcase here because these are all remix levels.
Yeah!
I don't actually have to do them. Just double checking, actually. Yep, nope. That's cool. Alright. Yeah, there's actually a lot of remix levels here, as you can see. And then there's the boss rush. Gotta have the boss rush. Yep, toys are where it's at, for some stupid reason. Oh, did we skip a world? Oh, no, we just... Right, yeah, okay. So, let's jot down the comments, mutators. Honestly, Lord Harrowmont, good. I will admit, I myself have seen buggy issues with Pokemon Violet, so I can speak to that with personal experience. It's almost all graphical bugs, but it's the kind of thing that's going to get a negative. Possibly two, because it's really irritating. Yeah, that's the other thing. I do want a Toad plush, but I want one that's actually, you know, good. And, like, frankly, most officially licensed stuff is of low quality. You ever notice that? There are exceptions to that, but for the most part, they suck. That's why Etsy is amazing. Or just if you happen to know someone. So this is the final Captain Toad level. I'm not actually going to do it. I just wanted to show it off really quick. Like, this Crobat is from a person. This Pachirisu is from a person. Neither of those are officially licensed plushies. Now, I do have a couple of Pokemon plushies that are officially licensed that are actually good. I'm not 100% sure where they are. Give me a second. Although, I do have another one. I've been debating trying to get it on camera here, because this is my Melodic. I know I've shown her off before. This is also not officially licensed. Scoochie back here or something. Yes. Until she's there. And her tail is having issues. Well, maybe we'll let you rest for a bit instead of trying to do it on this way. Okay. What I was actually looking for, I'm not 100% sure where they... Ah, here we go. There's one of them. I don't know where the other ones are. Cool, whatever. Ah. This is an officially licensed Melodic. It's actually still pretty decent quality, all things considered. It's a specific edition of Pokemon plushies they released. They did one for every single Pokemon up through, I want to say, Gen 8. And naturally, they only did one run of it and have yet to do any reprints. I only got a couple. Let's show this off briefly.
Let's go!
This is a frickin' marathon. Look at how many stars there are. 30, by the way. The problem with this, and this is kind of the problem with a lot of these stages, is there's nothing actually unique about this. These are just the same stages. There's just a whole bunch of them in a row. So that sucks. So, yeah, that just leaves one last thing to show off in the main game. And you'll notice in this save file, we actually haven't gotten it yet. Champions Road. Like I said, me and Pax just walked away from this. We were good. This is Champions Road. Before you ask, yes, this is ice physics. Don't worry, this is the easy part. Yes. No, Ross. Also, you're fired and banned. Ugh, that's harder to land than it looks. So is this. Yeah, and that's why. By the way, there are no checkpoints on this stage, which is why we gave up on it. What Pax and I ended up doing is, like, he would get good at one particular part of the stage, and I would get good at another. And then I would actually carry him through the part I'm good at, and he would carry me at the part he's good at. And that way we'd be able to get through it. Oh, jeez. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's dinner time.
It's dinner time! Attack of the Hugs!
Attack of the Damage.
Attack of the zombie. I'm a zombie.
no.
Oh god, why are you eating me? I'm a zombie.
Hug.
Aw. Ugh. Alright, I'll be up in just a minute. Go, go, go. I gotta rush. I gotta finish work.
Damage booty.
Alright, so.
That,
Let's try to throw this.
your ear. Yeah. That is the ear. That is ear.
What?
Bended.
Go, go. I'll be right up. I'll be right up.
When you steal your bed.
Don't steal my bed! Alright, so. My bed is being stolen. Oh no. It is so hard to control. It's okay. It's okay. We're secretly a lava monster. Dang it. I can't do this. Kiddo?
I'm not on lava.
That's because you're safe. Don't worry, you're part lava too. You must step in the lava. Step in the lava. You won't get burned because you are lava. It was so good, Ross. Oh my god, it was so good. I wish I had all the leftovers of it so I could eat it every day for like the next week. Oh god. Oh Jesus. Okay, okay. Let me just. Yes, I know, kiddo, I know. So now. Oh Jesus, I'm too slow. Yep, and that's it. And that's the second session. So you could see how nightmarish this stage is. And of course you have to redo the whole thing anytime you die, because no checkpoints. Now, at least this is the only stage with that problem, so I don't think I'm actually going to ding that for a negative. But I am also going to say that I hate this crap. There's a reason why these kind of stages, when I'm going for a 100% run, I only do it once. And it's because I hate this no mid-mission checkpoint crap. I hate having to redo the same section over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And we're dead. And so I'm going to go ahead and call that good. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Bowser's Fury. I'll see you guys.